So in the previous episode of this GMC 2500 3/4 ton bed swap, we pulled the old bed off. We're putting that aluminum landscape bed on over here. This one right here, it's got the fold down sides, really nice bed. It's what I want on the truck. You can see the fuel tanks out because we also went through, cleaned up the frame rail, put some OSPO on it, and we're gonna go ahead and paint the frame rail while we're here. And we also discovered a bunch of bad rot on this shock mount tube. So we're gonna try to cut out and weld a shock mount tube in this as well today and get the exhaust out. Fingers crossed by the end of this video, we've got that bed on this truck and it's all done. Step one, I had some parts come in and I've learned the hard way that it's good to check your parts as soon as they come in, because sometimes I'll have parts come in and then it'll sit a month or two until I actually get to the project. I open it up and it's the wrong part and I'm past the return date. So I'm gonna make sure this stuff's right first. So we went ahead and got new fuel tank straps as well. Here's the reason we're replacing the old fuel tank straps. You can see how rust jacked that is. The forward one is not bad, but the rear one's pretty shot. So those are good, okay. The next piece came in is this cross tube, so definitely need to make sure this rig fits. Got my box opener here. Make sure she fits here. That looks right to me. So it's got the shock mount already welded on. It's got the fuel tank strap holder already welded on. And it's got this bracket on this side already welded on. And then we've got these reinforcement plates to put on too. So I'm rocking the Rust-Oleum heavy duty weather resistant rust preventative farm and implement enamel. I've had really good luck with this enamel. The only thing I ever have to add to it, I had some people suggest this and I've tried it. That enamel dries real slow. So I add a little bit of hardener with it. I just mixed up in a little bucket. Probably gonna have a little flake of primer in it as well. Guessing by the bucket, that's fine. And that hardener just kind of helps it dry a little bit quicker. Quickener is definitely not a word, but I'm sure you have a general idea what I was looking for there. I like the brush because I feel like I can get in nooks and crannies. I feel like I get it on a little thicker. If a fella wants to spray, you can spray. You're not a dealer's choice. Do whatever you want, your frame. How much hardener you put in, Mike? I don't know about that much. They do make a replacement piece for this too, if you need it. This one isn't too bad, not bad enough for me to replace. But you can buy that replacement as well, just like that other tube. So there's the first coat of that enamel. Obviously we didn't get too carried away with the painting where we got to weld and cut that out yet. But at least that first coat is on there and it can sit and dry and set up good and hard. And then once that's all in there, we'll get the next paint on. Today's the day. I've actually got a full day of no rain in the forecast. I think we got another 4 inches last night. Weather's been insanity. Let's see how much a DIY average Joe can get done in a day. I'd like to be finished with it. Suppose step one's gonna be get this shock off of here. Spray action don't hurt anybody. Oh. I don't know if this is the best way, but. So it comes with 3 loose plates. 2 of them look identical to that. And then this one is the same as that one that they've got pre-welded on over there. So these are going to go on the inside of the frame rail, and these will go on the outside. I binged watched some videos last night, and everybody just torches this out to whatever it is. And then we run the tube through, and then we weld this on to the tube in the frame. It's just as easy as that. And then we paint it and act like it never happened, because this feels like it's going to be some kind of trauma. We're going to get everything prepped and ready and try to get the plasma cutter set up. I don't have a lot of time on the plasma cutter as far as experience goes, but we're going to try it out. I think it'll provide a little bit neater fit, and I think the tighter we can get this, the better off we're going to be in the long run as far as strength goes. If I can't get it with the plasma cutter, we'll bust out the torch. But let's see what happens here and what we end up with. The welder slash generator was not running super strong, and the propane tank was feeling pretty low. Once this thing gets about a quarter tank, it acts like it doesn't want to run very well. So hopefully a fresh tank will solve that problem. Every video I found online, everything was time-lapse to this part. So I'm going to show some up closes. This is not a how-to. I'm not a professional at any of this stuff. This is just how I'm doing it. And I do know that some states don't allow this because you're working on your frame. But here we are in good old wherever we're at. So I went around that. And on this part, it's doubled up. So I just cut right there and then cut the welds off. I left that part there. And I'm just trying to beat the center, that pipe, out through the other side, and then we'll take a grinder and get that all cleaned up. Yeah, there's just not a lot there. That be the reason we're replacing it. There's just not a lot left of that. See if this side goes a little smoother for me now that I'm kind of figuring out what I was doing wrong. So I'm going to take the grinder and get all that cleaned up, and then we'll slide that tube into place and see what we're looking like. So let me walk you through my mindset. Instead of that plate's already pre-welded on that side, this is all still really solid. So instead of cutting that off and re-welding this plate, I just kind of want to utilize that factory piece again. And I'm almost clear to where it'll start dropping, but you can see here I still got a little, still trim this out a little bit, and you can see where it's peeling that. And I'm hoping that'll give me enough for it to come this way. That somehow. Oh, yeah, right. I gotta cut that all the way up. If I made the slightest cut. Holy heck. There we go. I got the welder hooked up. I got the wire wheel on the grinder so we can clean as we go because we're running flux core. This is the way this works. They come with the plates. Slap the plate on there. Weld around that plate all the way around. Do that on both sides. And then of course the inside's here too. I'm just going to time lapse it and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. And we're done, almost. We had a little bit of a rain shower come through. Shut me down for just a second. I got to finish the bottom weld on that side. I want to show you something though. I took some of the Patreon funds and I purchased myself a little pop-up tent. Thought that might help with the rainouts. I got to assemble it, so we're not quite prepared for today's event. Should definitely help in the future. I'm pretty excited about that. Even just having a little bit of shade on a sunny day, that's going to go a long way. Let me finish that bottom end up, then we'll get them cleaned up, exhaust out, New shocks in. I'm gonna go ahead and get those cross members bolted on just because I can, like I need the motivational boost. And then maybe we'll tackle that brake line, fuel tank. I don't remember the list being that long. I'm content with it. I'm gonna put the welder up, get the plasma cutter back out, and we're gonna get that exhaust zipped off there and out of the way. The only issue I've had with this welder is my lack of maintenance. I don't have any tip gel, and my tip gets clogged from time to time, so I gotta take it off and clean it out. Other than that, this little thing hasn't done terrible. I mean, I got no complaints. For a price point welder that I don't use that often, seems to work fine. So we're just gonna cut this thing off. Nothing fancy about it. So as you can see, there's not a lot of the muffler part of this left anymore. There's that one there, looking super nice. And I'm not really a loud truck kind of guy, which is what this thing was. So we're gonna get something a little quieter and set it up. Probably just run 2 of them and down turn them and be done with it. There you go. Here's how they turned out, by the way. Certainly not bragging about anything, but I'm comfortable with it. I think it should do the trick just fine. Got a little bit of a mess there, but I think the rest of it looks decent. Certainly gotta be better than what was there. Since that's bare metal, or new metal, let's go get primer before we put paint on it. Pick that paper towel off. Had to go get the shocks rounded up real quick. That's ready for a coat of black on it. Am I correct in assuming that I'm leaning against the wet paint? Yeah. Yeah, I am. So those are both in and torched to spec, just for like a bit of motivation and some sense of forward progress. Let's bolt our new cross members up. Nothing fancy, a bolt, a nut, lock washer, washers, and a little bit of this stuff. Wrench to bite, there we go. So those are all 4 bolted on. See if we can try to get this fuel tank bolted up into place. A few people suggested replacing the fuel pump while it's out. I do think that's a really good idea. I did not do it. So we'll wait until we're 2 hours away from home and it goes out, but it probably is a good idea to go ahead and do that. I think we'll do this like a backboard. We'll try to get this positioned and roll the tank and slide this underneath. The boards where they need to be. And I'll balance it and I'll do the foot pump. Oh yeah, foot pump it is. Okay, it's in a spot now where it's kind of gonna wedge itself, so let's just hang tight for a second. Neat. And then it stays. Beautiful. All right. Start making some of these connections. The following morning, before we set the bed on the new cross members and everything we got set up, we need to replace this brake line. It corroded and cracked while we were working on it, which, you know, better to do it now than 50 miles down the road like we're going to do with the fuel pump. And there's a splice right there, so we'll see if we can't get this undone. Chances this comes out without something else breaking is pretty slim. We're certainly going to try. Oh. No complaints there. Got some wiring to figure out too. This got caught up in the grinder. I think it went to this harness. We got to figure that out too. So we got the length. The next crucial step is to make sure you actually get the fittings on and they're going the right way. I'd hate to run a flare and then realize you got to do the fittings. This is the kit I'm trying today. I've actually never used this specific kit, but I have a buddy who's a tech. He says this is what they all use and it works pretty well. Comes with the deburring tool, so we're going to run the inside of that and clean it out. And it's just got this block. And we put it through there, and it's got these fittings. Insert tube in a correct size vise. Okay. So it comes with this little depth plug. You're just supposed to put this depth plug in like that. Slide the line in until it hits it. Then we snug it down. Then we take the plug back out. And on this little fella, it's labeled F1 and F2. And that's the sequence you're supposed to go in. It's got grease. You're supposed to dip the ends in grease. So F1 is going to be first. A little grease on that rig. And then we run it in until it bottoms out. You can as well, I've seen people mount this whole block in a benchtop vise, which would probably be a little easier, but just have to do the old hand squeeze method. So it bottoms out, back it back out. My first time using it, and it's supposed to be kind of a foolproof flaring kit, so we're going to see. think that looks pretty good. I like that. Of course, we'll clean that grease out with some brake cleaner before we get it all put together, but let's do the other end and see if we can get this thing slid in. She is all cleaned out, routed through here. Not 100% sure where it went. So we've got this ground that ties in right here. It ties up to the filler neck. I gotta make that repair. Let's see if we can figure this harness situation out. So that's what I ripped the wires out of. I ripped them right out the back there. Too short to tag onto, so I gotta see if I can get the connectors out. If tab's on top, white is on the right. See if I can remember that. I moved over to the shade. I got one of the inserts out, and we'll have to peel that apart so we can try to re-clamp it. And there's the second one. I just had to bend that tab down with a pick. So here's the repaired harness. I was able to get those old fittings opened back up, the old wires out, and new fittings crimped on, wires in. It's not the exact same colors. It's white and orange on the truck, but I got white and red here. So we'll make this connection over on the truck. This is like a little power distribution plate. The power comes in and then you can send it out to everything else. The problem is it doesn't really do me a whole heck of a lot of good because everything else is just a jumbled up homemade mess here. We don't really have the harnesses, but we'll go ahead and put it back on there so we've got it. I don't know if we ever want to get fancy in the future with some actual harnesses, we can do that. I like putting good rusty hardware back on a good clean frame. That's my favorite part. So we're just going to have to open this mess up and see what we got going on. This is my 7-pin back here for the pintle. This they had running up into the bed for the gooseneck or fifth wheel hookup, whichever you prefer. There's just a lot going on and I need to get it cleaned up. So they just 3-weight into everything, so we're going to eliminate that. Oh yeah, they use the best connectors. So it's only cut right there. I don't know if sure you've seen these. There's little blades inside those. And this is what people do for a quick, easy splice into something. And then when you close that clip, it pushes that down into it, making just the slightest bit of contact. We'll cut that part out. We'll put a good heat shrink butt connector on it. And then we can eliminate that. And that's what we'll do on all these. So there's that all cleaned up. We'll get her shoved back in the loam, whatever. As far as the wiring for the lights for the bed, these harnesses went with the bed that was on here. I sold that. They picked it up just the other day, which is fantastic because that paid for all the parts, minus the bed, but the shocks, the paint, the cross tube, it paid for all that by being able to sell the bed we're not going to use anymore. I'm guessing, I haven't checked, but I'm sure I can get on eBay and find these harnesses blank. And then I can wire that up right. I don't want to splice into it like this. It's got this little distribution thing back here. That's the way it was meant to be used. So if I can find some blank harnesses, then we'll get the flatbed wired up that way. As long as we get it somewhat close, we should be able to, it should be light enough we can slide it around. I think it needs to go further. I got some scooting and manipulating to do, and then we can figure out how we're going to attach it. Well, I like that though. That's a good look. I should, by all means, because it's aluminum, just be able to scoot the thing back and forth here. Oh yeah. We'll walk it up to where it's supposed to be. Snagged one of these things. Get some actual measurements here. All right, I got a plan. We're gonna make some marks here. Then we're gonna pull the bed back off and start getting stuff drilled out. So it's about 5 o'clock in the evening. We had a local festival today, and every year my wife does a fundraiser there for her class. So me, her, and the kids have been there all day. I need to get this thing bolted down. There we go. I can see it. Just gotta get to it. I think if I stack everything on my magnet, might be able to get that started. Pretty sure I can get an extension to it with the impact. I just can't quite get a hand in there to get that thing started. I was like, you know, what could finish off a day of fun? This was my top 10 ideas. Where'd that go? That washer lives in the truck now. What about now? Oh, she started. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. And then we've got this skid guard type contraption that we got to put on. Gotta try to remember how it goes on here. Yeah, tetanus of the eye. All right. It's my favorite tetanus. Love it. Cool, man. Battery connection. And we gotta see if she at least still starts. That would be pretty cool. I don't know if I got enough fluid on hand to fill this back up, but we're gonna try. Go ahead and push down slow. Okay, you're gonna do it one more time, and this time just hold it when it hits the floor. Tell me when it's there, okay? Okay, let off of it. We'll see what she feels like. Let's go another couple rounds. Okay, hold it. So that is that. Got good coolant, that's good. Just changed the oil in it the other day. I've been wanting to do this stuff since we got the truck, and it is a tremendous amount of weight off my shoulders having this thing, one, set up the way I want, and two, getting that stuff taken care of. Like I said, I'll have a video in the future. We're going to do the parking brake cable, new tires, the tire I got on a blowout mission. I just got it in a random town, one tire, so I'd still have a spare for the rest of the trip. We're going to move that over to the spare and get 2 new matching tires, parking brake cable, diff seal, paint the diff, paint the bottom side of the frame, paint the leaf springs, finish the wiring on the very back of the bed because I still got some things to figure out on that. I'm good to move equipment. I got a couple little random things I got to do, some equipment moving from Dirt Perfect, and my brother wants to borrow this to take some stuff to the dump. What a fantastic bed to do that with. And then a couple weeks later, we can get everything back, the list I just mentioned and the exhaust, and then maybe next year we can do the bottom side of the cab and redo the suspension in the front, and we'll have quite a few more miles on this truck. I need this truck to last me a long time because I don't want to pay new world prices for a 3/4 ton truck with a bed like this. I said bed weird. And a crew cab. You know what I mean? I don't want to pay that kind of money. So a little bit of maintenance on this thing is going to go a long way. Next video should be the pool. Some work coming up from Dirt Perfect. Some more work at the gym. We got a lot of stuff going on. A lot going on. And I'm surviving every minute of it. And that's pretty close to loving it. Thanks for watching. Let's hope the brakes are actually right. We don't accidentally go flying through the neighbor's house. They hate when you do that. Where'd my keys go? I mean, they feel okay. Put it in reverse. We're not moving. That's gotta be a good thing. Service the brake system. Yeah, I believe that. Did we get everything put back on?